I recorded this a few hours ago, and now that I'm starting the editing, I'm thinking, why did I record this? Maybe I shouldn't put this out. There's not really any point. It's not chronic illness and HSP, or is it? So I'm gonna post it anyway because I'm gonna follow my calling to record it, but I'm not sure about this. Hi, beautiful. So in my last video about HSP, highly sensitive people, and women living with chronic illness, I talked about the idea that I had this sense that I want to find purpose to our suffering, that there has to be something underneath, a reason, a significance to why so many women suffer so deeply. And I also mentioned that I had this thing that I felt that women needed to start coming together, and that somehow I was a part of that. And I have to say that this idea of being part of women coming together, or even this inspiration or motivation and calling that women need to come together, it's been there for a long time. It's the first time personally that it's actually been awakened in me. And I'm going to tell you a little bit how I've come to this. So as women, and I suspect more specifically women who live with chronic illness or who are HSP, neurodivergent, empaths, we feel extremely deeply. And because of that, which is in our nature, we suffer really, really deeply. But there is this strange thing that we also typically, usually, choose not to share our experience. So we stay isolated in our suffering. We present to the world a version of us that is strong or determined, or that is not the part that's falling apart and suffering. And so we keep that to ourselves. I've noticed we often allow a narrative that is not ours in our relationship, in our life, to be shared with the world, and we just kind of hold our silence and we allow that to be there. And I'm really been questioning, like, why is that? And of course, I'm coming to the reason that it's because all our lives, as women, as girls, and as HSP, empaths, and living with chronic illness, we've been told that we were too sensitive, too emotional, that we felt too much, that we thought too much, that we're too strong-willed, that we're too needy, that we express our ideas too fast, and ultimately that we should slow down, just simmer down, take it down a notch, take a breather, and just collect ourselves, because the way that we feel and we want to express ourselves is just not convenient and a little bit disturbing for the way things are. And again, this is kind of hasn't been my nature, but I just connected with this idea that it is a sneaky patriarchal undercurrent that is blatant often, sometimes subconscious, and even exists in the spheres of high consciousness. It is something that exists, and that more and more I'm feeling like I've been held back by this, and it's in our conditioning and in our culture and in our experience. So these ideas and this stirring has come to me in the past week. And it started because I've been having a hard time. I mentioned it before, because of a separation with my husband. And there's a lot of emotions that come with that. And even though I've come a long way and I'm really not amazed. I am pleased with the parts of me that I'm connecting with. I've been having some rough times. And in the last week, I decided, because I'm not surrounded by friends, not close to my siblings or anything like that. So I've been isolated. And I decided to start reaching out to people from groups or whatever that I felt I had a connection with. And I first had a Zoom call with 2 women. And in the Zoom call, we started talking. All of us are highly sensitive. One of them, other than myself, living with chronic illness for all their lives. And we were all expressing where we are stuck in our life and all the work that we do because we want to emerge. We believe in more. We believe there's purpose to our suffering, and we suffer deeply. And I was just like amazed. At some point on the Zoom call, I said, wow, we are amazing. We go through these things in life, and yet we have this thing that keeps telling us there is something for you to find in there. And during the call, I even told them, I'm feeling like a tickle in my heart, and I don't even know what it's about, but I think it has something to do about the fact that women here, that we are talking together. And that was the extent of my awakening during that conversation. Then the next day, I reached out and talked with another woman, Emily. We had had a few conversations 2 years ago or something. She had worked on the cover art for my book. And we had a bond. We felt a connection there, but hadn't talked since. So we started talking, and I shared what I'm going through and crying, and she shared the depth of the suffering and what's going on in her life, and she was crying, and we cried for each other, and we did what women do, and we started supporting each other. And what happened to me during that call, it started by me again getting this sense of finding her so incredibly beautiful. And in her, I was seeing myself and seeing my own beauty. And I felt myself falling in love with her and with women because of this thing that we share that is so, so powerful, even though it is intangible. And as this feeling was bubbling up in me, there's this sense of indignation and almost a kind of anger, but at the same time, it was like motivation. And it started building up inside me. And it was like, I need to do something. We need to do something. We must come together. There is a key in women coming together. And as this feeling was coming up, which was really empowering and totally new for me, I realized that my individual pain was just kind of falling to the side and becoming just a subset, something that could be put aside for a moment as I was more preoccupied and focused on something about the collectivity of women that need to come together. And 4 steps actually came to me after the call. So number 1, we need to release the shame that we feel about the depth of our suffering. We are divinely created to feel deeply and have deep compassion and feel life just in our entire body, mind, and soul. This is divinely, this is the feminine, and we have to first, in our individual life, find a way to accept and understand that this is who we are and just release that shame. Second, we have to start speaking out. We have to speak our truth and again understand that how we feel and what our truth is not a fault or a default. It is who we are, and suffering alone and keeping it quiet is self-destructive and certainly not helpful. We have to bring this, which is our nature, out into the world. So step 2, we have to start speaking our truth. The step 3 is that I feel This is where women need to come together. We need to start reaching out to friends, opening up, joining groups, and this is what I am being called to do on this channel where I talk about women, chronic illness, and HSP, empaths, neurodivergence. And step 4, after we come together, I believe that once we are united, this is when we are going to be inspired into an understanding of why we have to come together. At the point I'm at right now, I don't know the purpose. I don't know the actions that need to be taken. I just have this sense in me that women suffering, we have to start understanding it's our nature, release the shame, speak our truth, come together. And that once we do, I'm going to trust, and I trust that we are going to be, like I said, inspired to understand why, and then guided to take actions, whether they come as a big illumination that we know the big global movement that has to occur, or just the next small step that's going to occur after we come together. I think this is what we need to do. I have a sense that it has something to do with the entire world, that women have something to do with changing, or we could even say saving humanity as it is right now. As a woman, does this resonate? Have you ever felt that? I know that when I mentioned it in the last video and with those women with whom I talked, they felt the same way. Like all of them said, I do feel a purpose to my suffering. I don't know what it is, but I sure am looking for it. And I would love for you to put in the comments so that all the other women also see that they're not alone, even if you just write, I do, me too, or whatever it is, just so that we all start seeing that we are not alone and that other women share what we feel in our hearts. Oh man, I just recorded a whole other portion and my video was turned off. So about this part 2 of speaking our truth, I just want to share as quickly as I can a personal experience that I just had with this. A few days ago, after last week, after the phone calls that I made where I felt some empowerment, I decided that I would speak for myself. And I wrote a blog about my side of the experience of separating from my husband. Because we have a different experience, we express ourselves differently and we experience differently. And I felt this need of writing from my heart. So I posted, it's a blog post, it's on my website, and I'll put the link in the video description below. So before my ego got in and kind of dragged me down the rabbit hole, something pretty amazing happened. My 88-year-old mother called me and said, Annie, I'm calling just because you just posted this thing and I wanted to talk to you about it. And I could see that she had this glint in her eye. I felt a strength and a presence in her that was kind of new to me. And we started sharing and she started adding to the conversation, saying, yes, this is important, this is true, absolutely. Patriarchal society, and we've been told to keep our opinions to something a little bit more acceptable, not too disruptive. And I was just like blown away that someone that age, someone so close to me, from whom I had never heard that part, was actually, something was piqued inside her and it brought this alive. And I thought, wow, I am touching upon something that is shared among women. So that was a beautiful thing that happened. Now, within a couple hours of that, my ego started chiming in. And the ego wasn't as nice as my mom. My ego and conditioning started telling me, Annie, are you really sure you want this to be out there? This is pretty personal. I'm personal all the time, but my ego was just emphasizing that direction, speaking for yourself. It's like, it's maybe it's not necessary. This thing might inspire other women. This thing might change the way you do things in your own life. It's kind of awakening something that has not been awakened in a long time inside of you. Maybe you should just delete. And it really wanted me to delete it. I had my finger on the button in front of the computer a few times, oh my God, I want to delete this. I don't want this responsibility. I don't want to do this in my life because it's going to change something. But I didn't. But my ego really took me down the rabbit hole. And I'm ashamed to say, but I will anyway, it took me down a rabbit hole for 30 hours of crying and feeling like the pain of my situation and the helplessness and powerlessness and kind of the aimlessness and the doubt that I was going to emerge and all this stuff. I had nightmares, horrific night terrors when I tried to sleep. I slept about 2 hours and it was just horrible. And I emerged from it. So I'm just saying this to let you know that if you decide to do step 2, speak your own truth, that it might come with a little bit of a backlash, but hang in there and it will come better and it will pass and you'll find a new strength on the other side, like I'm reconnecting now. And this thing that I'm connecting with is like somebody was mentioning to me, it's like a seed that is inside of you that is about to bloom. And the image that came to my mind is this. Last year, the winter here in Arizona, in the Sedona area at least, was super wet. Lots of snow, lots of rain, lots of cloud cover. And this spring, flowers bloomed in fields where people didn't even know that there were flowers to bloom. I have a friend here who's been living here for 30 years. And he said he had never seen anything like this. People were stopping on the side of the road, their mouth open at the spectacle of color and magnificence and aliveness and life that has just never been there for 30 years. And all these seeds, though, were in the ground. And I think that this is the perfect metaphor for us. This power, this seed that we still don't know what it will look like. It's been dormant in us for however long. And if we nurture it and come together to nurture it, it will bloom in something that has not been seen yet in the world. And I really believe that it's not like just this tiny little seed that's going to come out and make a pretty flower. It's going to be a powerful show. And as a collective, it's going to blow people's mind. So let's connect with that seed that we have inside and know that it's there and that it contains something amazing and that us together can make it bloom into something amazing. I love you. I love you. I love you. I will be back. You have a beautiful day. I will see you soon.